You're scrolling through your phone. A video appears. A whale is tangled in fishing nets. A diver swims down, cuts the lines, and the whale swims free. But just before it leaves, the whale pauses. It looks back. It seems to acknowledge the diver. You feel something warm in your chest. You tell yourself the whale was saying thank you. But were you right? Did that whale actually know you were helping? And if it did, what does that say about the relationship between humans and the wild? The real answer is far stranger than any viral video can show. Consider the animal you know best. The dog. It reads your mood. It follows your gaze. It knows when you are happy, sad, or angry. The dog has been bred for tens of thousands of years to understand you. But what about an animal that has never seen a human before? What about a creature that has no evolutionary history with your species? Does it have any capacity to recognize your intention? The short answer is yes, but not in the way you think. It is not kindness they recognize. It is pattern. It is predictability. The biologist Mark Bekoff has spent decades studying animal emotions. He writes about the emotional lives of animals and argues that many species have rich inner worlds. They feel fear, joy, grief, and even empathy. But feeling is not understanding. A deer that runs from a hunter does not know the hunter intends to kill it. It simply recognizes a pattern. Human shape, human movement, human scent. These things signal danger. But if those signals change, if they become predictable in a new way, the animal's response changes too. It is not gratitude. It is risk assessment. Think about a rescue. A turtle is flipped over on a beach. It is baking in the sun, vulnerable to predators. A human walks over, lifts the turtle, and turns it upright. The turtle immediately crawls toward the water. It does not look back. It does not pause. It does not offer a sign of recognition. Why? Because a turtle's brain is not built for that. It is built for survival. It does not have the cognitive architecture to model your intentions. It sees an opportunity to escape and takes it. That is all. The turtle does not know you helped it. It only knows that one moment it was trapped, and the next moment it was free. But not all animals are turtles. Some species have massive brains relative to their body size. Cetaceans, elephants, great apes, corvids. These are animals with complex social lives. They remember individuals. They hold grudges. They form alliances. They grieve their dead. And yes, they do seem to recognize human intent. Not through a moral understanding, but through something simpler. They read your body language, your gaze, your breathing, the tension in your posture. They are exquisitely sensitive to these signals. It is not a skill they learned from you. It is an ancient survival tool. In the wild, reading another creature's intention is the difference between eating and being eaten. The primatologist Franz de Waal has shown that chimpanzees and bonobos have a remarkable capacity for what he calls sympathy. They comfort each other after a fight. They share food. They even intervene to stop conflicts. And they extend some of this behavior to humans. A chimp that has been rehabilitated by a human caregiver will often show distress when that caregiver leaves. It will reach out. It will make eye contact. It will seek reassurance. But is that evidence that the chimp understands the human is trying to help? Or is it simply a response to a familiar creature? The line between the two is blurry. And that blurriness is the key to the entire question. Consider the elephant. Elephants are famous for their memory. They remember human individuals for years. They distinguish between friend and foe. In some parts of Africa, elephants have been known to attack humans who have harmed them in the past, and they have also been known to approach human researchers with calm curiosity. But there is a darker side to this story. Elephants can also be confused by human intention. They have been observed charging vehicles that are trying to treat them for injuries. They perceive the vehicle as a threat. The human inside might be trying to help, but the elephant sees a large, unfamiliar object moving toward it. Its brain is processing the pattern. It does not have time to wonder about the human's motivation. It just reacts. Help is not a concept. It is a feeling, and feelings are not always accurate. But here is the counterintuitive twist. The most sophisticated response to human help may come from an animal you least expect. The crow. Crows have been studied extensively by the ethologist John Marsloff. He has shown that crows remember human faces for years. They can identify specific humans who have threatened them, and they can also identify humans who have fed them. They even teach their offspring to recognize safe and dangerous humans. That is not just individual learning. That is cultural transmission. A crow does not need to experience a human directly to know whether that human is a threat or a friend. It inherits that knowledge through observation. Now consider the case of a crow that is injured. You find it on the ground. Cannot fly. You approach slowly. You talk softly. You wrap it in a cloth and take it to a wildlife rehabilitator. Will the crow know you are helping it? In the moment, likely not. It will be terrified. Its heart will be racing. It will try to escape. But afterward, something interesting happens. Crows that have been rescued often return to the area where they were found. They investigate. They observe. They do not necessarily approach, but they do not flee either. They are gathering information. They are updating their mental map of human danger. They are learning that this particular human, in this particular context, is not a threat. But does that mean they know you were helping? Or does it mean they now associate you with a less painful outcome? This is the distinction that matters. Animals do not have a concept of help in the human sense. They do not have moral frameworks. They do not operate in terms of charity, generosity, or goodwill. Those are human concepts. What they have is a much more pragmatic system. They evaluate risk. They calculate reward. And they remember. That is not gratitude. That is survival. The neuroscientist Antonio Damasio has argued that emotions are fundamentally about homeostasis. They are not abstract feelings. They are physical states that guide behavior. Fear tells you to run. Anger tells you to fight. Joy tells you to approach. When an animal experiences a human intervention, it is not thinking about kindness. It is feeling the shift in its own body. Its heart rate slows. Its breathing stabilizes. Its muscles relax. That physical change is what it learns from. The animal does not know you are helping. It knows that the pain stopped. That is enough. So what does this mean for you? The next time you see a viral video of a grateful animal, you might feel a pang of doubt. You might wonder if the animal actually knew what was happening. And the truth is complicated. Some animals, like great apes and dolphins, may have a limited ability to model human intention. They may be able to distinguish helpful actions from harmful ones. But they do not understand help as a moral concept. They understand it as a pattern. And that pattern is powerful enough to shape their behavior across generations. Think about the animals that live in cities. Pigeons, rats, foxes. These are animals that have learned to coexist with humans. They have learned that humans can be both dangerous and rewarding. A pigeon that is fed by a commuter does not feel gratitude. It feels a small dopamine release. It learns that approaching humans can lead to food. But it also learns that humans can kick or shoo it away. It weighs the risks. It makes a calculation. That is not a conscious calculation. It is the result of thousands of generations of selection. The pigeons that were more tolerant of humans survived and reproduced. The ones that were not died. That is evolution. It does not require understanding. It only requires outcomes. Now take that logic and apply it to a rescue scenario. A whale that is freed from a net does not know the diver is helping. It knows that a large creature approached, made contact, and then the net was gone. That is a sequence. The whale's brain is processing that sequence. It is updating its model of human behavior. If that whale encounters a diver again, it may be more cautious. It may even approach. But that is not gratitude. That is the beginning of a new pattern. It is the animal learning that not all humans are predators. Some humans are neutral. A very few humans might even be beneficial. But that is learned, not understood. The anthropologist Barbara Smuts spent years studying baboons and developed a deep understanding of their social dynamics. She observed that baboons could distinguish between humans who were armed and humans who were not. They could also distinguish between researchers who were consistent and researchers who were unpredictable. They were not reading human intention in a human sense. They were reading human behavior as a pattern. Predictability meant safety. Unpredictability meant danger. That is the entire framework. That is the limit. But here is the truth that makes this all worth considering. Even if an animal does not know you are helping, it still benefits. And you benefit too. The act of helping is not diminished by the animal's lack of understanding. The whale does not need to thank you for the rescue to be meaningful. The turtle does not need to recognize your kindness for the flip to matter. The crow does not need to feel grateful for its life to continue. You helped because you are human. That is enough. And there is something else. Your brain is wired to interpret the world through a lens of intention. You cannot help it. When you see an animal pause after a rescue, you see gratitude. That is not a failure. That is your brain finding meaning. It is your brain trying to connect. And that connection, even if it is one-sided, is real. It is real because it changes you. It makes you more likely to help again. It makes you more likely to care about the wild world. It builds a bridge between your species and theirs. And that bridge, however fragile, is worth building. So the next time you see a video of a rescued animal, watch it with open eyes. Watch the animal, but also watch yourself. Watch your own response. That warmth in your chest is not about the animal. It is about you. It is a reflection of your own capacity for compassion. And that is something the animal cannot understand. But that does not make it any less real. Animals may not know you are trying to help, but they can sense something. They can sense the shift in energy, the reduction of threat, the absence of harm. And that is enough. That is the foundation of a relationship that spans species. It is not a relationship built on gratitude. It is built on safety, on predictability, on the slow, patient accumulation of trust. And trust, even between a human and a whale, is a kind of understanding. It is not the understanding of language. It is the understanding of presence. You are not a friend. You are not a predator. You are a being in the landscape. And for some animals, you are just another pattern. But for others, you are a pattern that matters. You are a pattern they remember. You are a pattern they pass down. And in that way, you become part of their world. Not as a helper, not as a savior, but as a fact of life. A fact that they have learned to navigate. So the answer to the question is yes and no. No, they do not know you are helping in the way you know. But yes, they know something has changed. Something has shifted. And they adjust. They adapt. They survive. And you survive too. In the end, that is what matters. Not the gratitude. Not the recognition. Just the living, breathing moment of contact between two creatures that share a planet. One of them might never understand you, but you will understand yourself a little better. And that is a gift worth giving.